Hi guys, and welcome to a new video. And this video is quite a special one for me because it will be about a game of myself which I played against one of the strongest, if not the strongest opponent I had ever faced in an over-the-board game. And this game occurred in a rapid tournament in Austria, and I got the chance to play against PARHAM MAGHSOODLOO, who is one of the top 20 chess players in the world, I guess. And I had the chance to see what he will be doing against my openings, how he will crush me maybe. But yeah, I wanted to give him a fight as good as possible, and we will see what happened. So the game started out as an open Sicilian, and I decided to play the Sicilian for knights, and I was very curious which line he will play. Will he take here, will he play knight db5, or will he play bishop e2 or a3? But he decided to go for a3, which is nowadays quite a modern line. The idea is basically that white is playing a waiting move, a clever waiting move, preventing bishop to b4, and maybe at some later stage take on c6 when the circumstances are better. The response to this is usually bishop e7. There's also something like d6, which is possible. What you should not really do is a6, as in many lines after takes, e5, knight d5, knight to e4. This a6 move is really useless, while the a3 move is very, very useful, as after the typical c4 move, there won't be any bishop b4 check ideas. So this is what should be avoided. But bishop e7, as I played in the game, was fine. And yeah, now usually they play some normal developing moves, but Maghsoodloo in this game, he played very creative chess, which didn't convince me at first, but I somehow still struggled to find a plan against it. So he went bishop f4. Of course, I cannot win the bishop or fork him here, as he has the intermediate knight takes c6, and I dropped the e5 pawn. So I played pawn to d6, being ready to go e5 maybe sooner or later, and also be able to answer this knight b5 jump in an appropriate way without the knight ever jumping to d6. So after d6 he played bishop b5, which I found a bit weird, but it somehow provoked my bishop to d7, which I in the game thought is not that bad. Even though I could also have played queen c7, staying flexible with the bishop, maybe just going something like a6 b5 and bishop b7 later. But bishop d7 was still fine. He played knight f3 back. Another kind of weird move, but of course it's logical and reasonable because there is still this e5 in the air. So okay, knight f3, no e5 now, because now I don't win anything with it and I just create a hole on the d5 square. So I just decided to continue normal moves. a6, asked the bishop where to go. He went to c4. I went queen c7, lining up the queen on the c file against his bishop. Maybe knight e5 jump followed by knight c4 may come. And I was very happy at this point because I thought even black is better, as white has no real strong pawn center, no initiative, and white has developed his pieces rather like an Italian than like in a Sicilian. So I was happy here, but he just continued to play solid normal moves. I castled too. He played bishop b3, sidestepping any discoveries. And I played knight e5, already spending some time trying to evaluate how those pawn structure changes would be for me. And yeah, I think actually they are quite fine. Those pawns are double, but they control so many central and important squares. And yeah, Maghsoodloo did not even spend a lot of time to even consider taking there, but just continued to make some tiny useful moves like queen e2. connecting the rooks and saying, okay, what is my plan here? I also brought the rooks to the center, which is still fine. h3, he's still not doing anything great, but I was also not doing anything great. What I should have done here is maybe to take on f3, followed by bishop c6. I get all the pieces into the play, and later I can follow up with b5, for example, and try to get some queenside stuff rolling and destabilize this knight on c3. That's certainly something I should have done, but I didn't go for it. Instead I played rook c8, which was already maybe not ideal, as for example in connection with some b5 plans, the rook might be better on b8 or even on a8, as the a file might open up anyway. At this point he played rook f2 d1. Now my plan of jumping here did not really suit me that well, as I was scared about the d6 pawn. So I tried to cover the d6 pawn a bit more, which was a bad idea. Actually, I don't like this move. This is just a bit too passive. I tried to cover this one, but I kind of neglected that the e6 pawn might also be a target. This doesn't seem true for now, as it's just very solidly defended, but we will see it very soon that he spots a target there and how he exploits it. Okay, instead I should maybe still play something like takes on f3 followed by bishop c6, or just b5. I think many ways are possible. Black is in general doing quite fine here, but I was really struggling to find a plan. So I played bishop b8, bishop to e8, sorry, knight e2. This was again, I thought, very clever. I will never jump here now, and I was really lacking to find a plan here. Maybe I should play knight to g6, trying to hit this bishop, but what to do next? Yeah, maybe b5 again. This should be fine. However, I wanted to be more concrete and kind of created a maybe threat with rook c3, trying to get a knight and a pawn for the exchange, and also some nice squares, isolating some of his pawns. But my big mistake was to spend too much time for that, and also that it's probably not a great idea, and white is just better after that. Even though this exchange sack might be possible, there was absolutely no need to set up this kind of threat, and I didn't even go for it, which makes my last move a bit pointless. Now I should have paid more attention to what his idea is, but I completely missed it. I play b5, trying to get active on this side of the board, also trying to cover the c4 square, but now he had a great chance, and if you want to challenge yourself, you can try to punish the black position, as he did in the game. I actually just played this one inaccuracy, but he immediately took advantage of it and spotted the weakness. So we will continue with the solution, which is f4. And after knight to g6, he can push f5. And this is a very unpleasant now, because usually I would just jump back and my knight would be there forever on e5. But now this e6 pawn is, as I told before, the big weakness, and I need to do something about it because I don't want to lose the pawn. I could have played knight f8, which I probably should, but instead I decided to take, and soon he got a very good control of the d5 square, and now he exploited it in a very nice way. I will just show you, because there is not so much I can add to it. He just did it in a very good way, and I was unable to defend against it. He played bishop g5, trying to trade off this knight, followed by a knight jump to e5 and to d5, sorry. And my light squares, they are so weak, and his light squared pieces are so good. everybody can join, and I cannot really fight against it. I tried to by bringing my bishop back to c6, trying to cover some squares, but it did not work out that well. Knight e4 was coming, and this bishop will be traded off. I was counting on keeping the good knight on e5, but actually he did all the exchanges, but he never traded off my bad bishop, but instead kept his own good knight and his own good bishop, and just improved one piece at a time. I tried to get counterplay with a5, but he was not impressed, just putting more pieces into the game. And after this, actually my counterplay also just gave him more assets like this passer on the a file, and at any time he can take the d6 pawn. I was kind of desperate and low on time. I played rook c8, but the position is already lost, and now after knight to d6, it's very lost. It's a double threat and I will lose a lot of material, so I resigned here. So even though his opening play was not that impressive, he really understood the position well. The game was very slow at first, but once it got sharper, or he got a chance to sharpen the game with f4, f5, taking advantage that the e6 pawn is not that well guarded, he immediately took it. And that's probably also one of the skills that a very strong chess player needs, that he spots vulnerability in an opponent's position very quickly and is able to change gears very quickly also. So I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions, and I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.